Good evening and welcome to the Twinsburg Board of Education regular meeting for Wednesday, September 5th, 2018. Call the meeting to order at 7:03. Mr. Aho, please call the roll.
Mr. Solera?
Here.
Mr. Curtis?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. DeFabio?
Here.
Mr. Felber?
Here.
If you could please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's meeting. It's hard to believe given the extreme heat we've been experiencing this past week, but school is in session and the year is off to a great start. The Academy at Twinsburg had a great kickoff last week with special guest speaker Melt founder Matt Fish. Our fall sports teams are in full swing and our students are picking up right where they left off last school year. I look forward to seeing all the great things that are in store for us this year. Soon the administration will begin forming action groups to begin the strategic planning process, which will update and form the district's strategic plan for the future. This plan will encompass our financial, facility, and security plans for the future. It's a very important and vital undertaking and one that will help our district to continue to offer the best for our students and staff. The community's input is vital in this process, and I would strongly encourage those who are interested in being a part of this to contact the administration for details. Tonight we welcome our new staff, and while I do not want to take away from the administration's presentation, which I know Mr. Sullen has been practicing, I do want to personally welcome all of you to the district and thank you for joining our team. Our district is able to accomplish what we do because of each and every one of our staff. There is not a team member in our district whose job does not impact the success of our students. Our administrative team has been busy this summer reading applications and interviewing candidates to get us to this point, and I truly believe that those present in this room tonight are the best of the best in their positions. I look forward to your success here in Twinsburg and the positive impact and energy that you bring to our district. Thank you for your dedication to Twinsburg, and thank you for being here tonight for your personal introduction. I also want to kind of go off topic here, and normally I would save this for miscellaneous, but Mr. Mark Curtis and myself just got done with a building tour to kind of highlight some of the summer projects and some of the new things going on in our district. And I want to thank Superintendent Powers for allowing us to do that. And I also want to thank Mr. Welker for the hard effort and work that you and your team clearly were up to this year. The buildings are in fantastic shape. The new maker spaces that are at our buildings are unbelievable. I was blown away at the amount of opportunities that our students across all of our buildings will now have technology-wise, curriculum-wise, and learning-wise. So I do appreciate that. It's always nice to get out and see the hard work that everybody puts forth over the summertime to get our buildings ready for our students and the upcoming year. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Superintendent Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Slur. Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening, everyone who has joined us tonight. This is a very special evening, as Mr. Slur just indicated. Generally, when we start school a week earlier, staff, you would have been here the first day of school to do this. Imagine how tired you were, right? So we're grateful that we started school a week later. We have a little bit of time to get into the school year. It is week 3, and just as I said to some of the staff when I got here, 2 weeks to midterms. Can't believe it. The year is zipping by quickly here in the district. But welcome to everyone. We're going to have a chance to meet each and every one of you individually here in a few seconds. Also, I'd like to just welcome all of our new families to the school district. Board of Education this afternoon, I worked on our enrollment numbers. We have 4,200 students here in our district this year. 4,200 Tigers ready to learn, and I am quite confident that the new staff members as well as our veteran staff members are ready, willing, and able to really bring forward a fantastic year of learning. So we welcome all of our Tigers back. We welcome our new Tigers to the fold, and we look forward to a really good school year. As Mr. Slur indicated in a moment, Mr. Sullen, our supervisor of personnel, will be introducing each of our new staff members to the Board of Education for the first time. We really enjoy this opportunity because not only do you get to meet the employees that you have employed, we also get to introduce everyone to our community through the community-focused channels. So we appreciate the opportunity, Board of Education, to do this evening. Our next board meeting will be the return of our student presentations. I know our Board of Education enjoys hearing from the kids, enjoys some of the programs that are introduced at the board level here, so we will begin those presentations at the next board meeting in a couple of weeks. All of our fall sports programs are underway. Our Tiger Marching Band looks fantastic. And that's meeting, Board of Education, you authorized the 2018-19 athletic passes. If anyone in the community is interested in purchasing an athletic pass, please visit the district website, go to the athletic tab, and all the information is right there. This Friday, September 7th, is a special day, actually evening, I should say, because it is the first time we're going to be hosting our first annual Tiger Wellness Tailgate Party. That's a mouthful. That's right before the Aurora versus Tiger football game, and it will be on the access road that we call Tiger Trail. Our district wellness committee has been working hard behind the scenes. There will be a lot of fun fitness activities for kids of all ages and for our parents. So we invite you to please come to the Tiger Trail between 5 and 7 p.m. immediately before the football game, and then stick around and enjoy the football game with our students, our staff, and our community members too. So Board of Education, we have a lot of outstanding individuals to introduce to you this evening. As Mr. Salura indicated, it was a very busy summer because we always do a lot of recruiting and interviewing and recommending to the board. But this year, with some of the new programs that occurred, we had some switches internally too, which actually caused the interview process to be doubled in some respects. So Mr. Sullen and the administrative team really worked very diligently this summer to recommend to me, and then ultimately I recommended to you, the individuals that you see here this evening. I'm very proud of each and every one of them. I do think that they bring excitement, enthusiasm, and masterful teaching to our school community, and we're excited to introduce them to you this evening. So at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Sullen to come on forward to the podium, and I want to ask Mrs. Kim Fink, the president of TEA, to join me up front to meet and greet each of the new members of the staff as they're introduced. And the Board of Education will come down and shake hands as soon as the entire staff from that particular school is introduced.
Thank you, Superintendent Powers. Good evening to the Board of Education. You all look so lovely tonight after this hot, hot day here in Twinsburg, but thank goodness we have air conditioning, so we didn't have to deal with canceling school. So it is my honor and privilege to introduce what I like to refer to as the 2018 recruiting class of mine. It's my first class of incoming new teachers, not necessarily always new, fresh out of college, but new to the district. And so I take special pride in them, knowing that I've sat in on all of their interviews and gave my stamp of approval along with Mrs. Powers. So I'm really excited about that. So we're going to start off this evening with Wilcox Primary School. We're going to ask the Wilcox principal to come on up. First up this evening, we have Mrs. Esther Boutros. She is the school counselor at Wilcox. Esther received her bachelor's in psychology from the Ohio State University and her master's in school counseling from the University of Akron. Her work experience includes St. Joseph Parish School from 2015 until her time here at Twinsburg. We're going to ask that they remain up front because Mr. Potter's going to get a picture of everyone together. Next up, we have Ms. Kawana Bridges. Ms. Kawana Bridges will be the administrative assistant at Wilcox. Her education includes on-the-job training in the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services for 15 years. She has also been an assistant teacher at New Adventures Learning Center, and we would like to welcome her. I think they're going to all come out and shake hands, by the way.
I don't know what's going on with Team Sullen.
You see the type of enthusiasm that I recruit, right? Next up, I would like to introduce you to Megan Hritz. She is a kindergarten teacher at Wilcox. She hails from Slippery Rock University, and her prior experience includes long-term subbing in Copley, Fairlawn, and Twinsburg. If you're already familiar with Megan, it's because she was actually hired, I believe in January of this year, October of last year, I apologize. And so she's kind of been with us ever since, but she didn't have the opportunity to get introduced to the community. Next up, we have Abigail Miller, intervention specialist at Wilcox. See, the first time I did this, every time I announced someone, everyone started cheering and stuff, so it's kind of quiet around here. Abigail received her bachelor's in special education from Walsh University. Her work experience includes Stark County ESC as an intervention specialist at Lake Middle School. Next up for Wilcox, we have Katie Hardesty. Katie Hardesty is the reading specialist at Wilcox. She received her bachelor's in early childhood education from Ursuline College, and her work experience includes long-term sub experience at Gilmore Academy and Orange City School District. Let us clap for Wilcox's newest members. And now they come and shake your hand. You get done with it. Thank you, Wilcox. Next up, we have Samuel Bissell. First up from Samuel Bissell, we have Josie Delagram, and she will be working in food services. Her experience is that she has been a substitute in food services and has substitute experience in Twinsburg since 2004. Next up, we have Miss Haley Langhoff, third grade teacher, Samuel Bissell. Haley received her bachelor's in early childhood education from Kent State University. Her work experience includes multiple field experiences and volunteer opportunities. And that is all for Bissell this year. Yeah, don't leave her alone. All right?
Yeah.
Next up, we have George G. Dodge of Intermediate School. Sorry. First up from Dodge, we have Jennifer Brunton, teacher, math and science. Jennifer received her bachelor's in education from Heidelberg College. Her work experience includes teacher and library assistant in Twinsburg and learning coach in Highland Heights. Next up from George G. Dodge, we have Mr. Brian Detweiler, vocal music. He's the only one that gets introduced twice to you all. Brian received his bachelor's of music from Kent State University. His work experience includes multiple field experience and show choir experiences. As I said previously, we're very happy to have him on this side of the fence when it comes to competitions at this time. Next up from Dodge, we have Miss Alexa Dorfler, school psychologist. Alexa received her bachelor's in psychology from The Ohio State University and her master's in school psychology from Kent State University. Her work experience includes school psychology intern at Olmsted Falls City Schools, Orange City Schools, and Stowe Monroe Falls Schools. Next, we have Jacob Moraro, school counselor at Dodge. Jacob received his bachelor's in psychology from Ohio University and his master's in school counseling from the University of Akron. Jacob comes to us from Jesu School in University Heights. Next, we have Kelly Schaefer. Her position is Technical Resource Assistant, and she received her bachelor's from Bowling Green in elementary education and special ed, and her master's in education from Kent State University. Her work experience includes 9 years of sub experience in Twinsburg. Next, we have Anna Yakubowski, Intervention Specialist, Dodge. Anna received her bachelor's in special education from Kent State University, and her work experience includes multiple field experiences and volunteer opportunities. Let's put our hands together for Dodge newest staff. Next up, we have RBC. RBC's newest staff member is Alexis Sabo, Intervention Specialist. Alexis received her bachelor's in special education from Miami of Ohio, and her work experience includes multiple field experiences and volunteer opportunities. Let's give it up for RBC.
That's all right.
I'm glad you all have your walking shoes on this evening. Next up, Twinsburg High School. Well, this is kind of a duel. I'm going to introduce the principal of Twinsburg High School as she comes up. Dr. Laura Hebert, Principal, THS. Dr. Laura Hebert has her Doctorate of Education, Educational Leadership, and Policy from Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, licensure in Educational Administration from Longwood University, Educational Leadership in Administration and Supervision, Master of Education, Curriculum and Instruction from Ashland University, and her Bachelor's in Comprehensive Social Studies from The Ohio State University. And Dr. Laura Hebert's work experience includes Chesterfield County, where she was a dean, an assistant principal, and a principal for many, many years.
Get a pay for that.
Okay, I'll take one. For many years.
For years.
Next up from THS, we have Mr. John Moschberger. Oh, he's already up there. I forgot. Assistant Principal, THS. John received his bachelor's from John Carroll University in History and his master's from Wheeling Jesuit University in Educational Leadership. His work experience includes Avon Local Schools, where he was a social studies teacher and an administrator for the Avon Academy. Next up from the high school, we have Mr. Zachary Callgrove. Mr. Callgrove received his social studies his bachelor's in integrated social studies from Kent State University. His work experience includes long-term sub experience at Twinsburg High School during last year. Next, we have Mr. James Dianetti. He is a bit of a troublemaker. Mr. Dianetti is an intervention specialist at the high school. He received his bachelor's in special education from the University of Akron, and his work experience includes special education tutor from the Mayfield City Schools. Next, we have Miss Samantha Gossett, assistant band director at THS. Samantha received her bachelor's in music education from Otterbein University, and her work experience includes multiple field experiences and a private flute tutor. Next, we have Hugh Ling Haldeman, Chinese teacher, THS. She received her education, her bachelor's of education from Yokohama National University in Japan, and her master's of education from Yokohama National University. Her work experience includes most recent teaching at Cleveland State University, Magnificat High School, and Middleburg College. Next, we have Christy Lewis, guidance at THS. Christy received her master's of education in school counseling from Cleveland State University, her bachelor's of science health education, K-12, from Kent State University, and her work experience includes Cleveland Metropolitan School District health educator and guidance counselor. Next, we have Jessica Mazinetz, social studies teacher at THS. Jessica received her bachelor's of arts in integrated social studies from Hiram College. Her work experience includes social studies teacher at Crestwood, Springfield, and Parma High Schools. Last but not least, we have Melissa Mrakruzik, instructional assistant at THS. Melissa received her bachelor's in integrated language arts from Kent State University. All right, let's put our hands together for new Next, we have transportation.
Get some cold nuts.
We have Mr. Adam House, transportation supervisor. Adam's education includes Masters of Education in Teaching and Learning, elementary education from DePaul University, Bachelor of Science in Geography, Geographic Information Systems from The Ohio State University, and his work experience includes multiple roles within the Chicago Public Schools. Next, we have Mr. Antoine Batto, transportation driver. After that, we have Pam Rhoda, transportation driver also. All right. Welcome, Pam. And last but not least, we have Christy Tragus. Sorry.
Close enough.
So as you can see, we added to our transportation department some really, really good staff. And I know Adam has been very happy with the hire so far. So thank you. Next up, we have Tisha Eisenhuth, our parent mentor. This is her second year in the position.
Last January.
Oh, all right, January. So in the position, and she works diligently to bridge that gap with parents in the school. So we definitely thank her for her efforts at this time. Very good.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we hired on a new Beachbrook worker. She couldn't be with us this evening due to a prior engagement, but Felicia Kaufman will be at Wilcox and Bissell. She received her master's from from Cleveland State University in clinical mental health as a mental health counselor, and her bachelor's of science in human development and family studies. She has been with Child Guidance and Family Solutions in Twinsburg. Her work experience also includes Lake County Child and Family Services, as well as she has been at Beachbrook since 2012. So we would like to welcome her aboard also. All right, and this concludes my presentation at this evening of my recruiting class of 2018.
Board of Education, Mr. Sullen has been on the fast track to learn a new position and then to recruit and recommend all of these individuals. You've done a fantastic job, Tim. Congratulations. This class of 2018 are your shining stars, and you can tell that we have a lot of talent in the room, so you've done a great job in your role as our new supervisor of personnel. We appreciate your effort. And that concludes my remarks for this evening.
Thank you, Superintendent Powers. With that, I will make a motion to recess so that we can step down and intermingle. And at that point, if you guys would like to leave, I know you guys have had a long day today. Probably have some things that you need to do, so that would be a good time. So I'll make the motion to recess. Can I get a second? Mr. Felber seconds. Any discussion? Mr. Aho, please call the roll.
Mr. Solera?
Yes?
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio?
Yes.
All right.
Who's Sullen?
Reconvene at 7:40. Mr. Aho, call the roll.
Mr. Solera?
Here?
Mr. Curtis?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. DeFabio?
Here.
Mr. Felber?
Here.
Next item on the agenda is committee reports. Any committees with anything to report?
Actually, I do. Specific to CVCC. I know it's been a while since I've given an update on CVCC, but we met last Thursday. So it was our first board meeting back for the year. So a lot of the same thing, with new staff coming back, kids coming back and whatnot. But we did take care of a few business items. First and foremost, we voted to approve and authorize $30,000 partnership dollars to go to the member school districts. Recall that a few years ago, this process was discontinued as a result of financial constraints, and we have been able to reinstitute awarding our member districts those dollars. So we did vote on that and authorize that this past board meeting. So wanted to make sure that you knew that. We're very proud that we're in a position to be able to continue to do it, because we know that districts need those resources. Mark your calendars. October 25th is the all boards dinner that we will be hosting at the CBCC, and it will begin at 5:00 p.m. Last year, I'm not exactly sure what the reason was, but we didn't have it last year. But we are reinstituting that and having it again. And for the board members that haven't been to this, these are board members from all of our member districts come together at the CBCC, and we will have dinner. But prior to that, there's usually an opportunity to walk around the center. They usually have displays and things like that just to kind of show off what's new and what's happening at the center, and it's usually a pretty good time. So hopefully you guys will be able to attend that, and then we will have our regular board meeting shortly thereafter, after dinner. As I am the legislative liaison for Twinsburg, I'm also the legislative liaison for the CBCC. And so one item that I reported out on at our past board meeting is, remember where I went to DC and made a trip there, and I lobbied on behalf of our district, but I also did some lobbying on behalf of the CBCC relative to career and technical education. And at that time, we were pushing for the reauthorization of the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act. It was in process, but there was some limbo with respect to whether or not it was going to move forward. So it was H.R. 2353, and it was signed into law July 31st by President Trump. And what this does, we were lobbying for the funds not to be cut but to stay level. So FY18, the funding is level, but there's going to be a slight increase, probably overall increase in CTE funding by 10.5% over the next 4 years. We don't know what the allocations are going to look like for Ohio, but we're encouraged that we may get a little bit more money. So good news on that front. Also, tomorrow there's going to be an open house from 7 o'clock to 8:30, and there's also going to be a college and career planning seminar September 26th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And that's all I have for a CBCC update.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Any other board members wishing to report on committees? Moving forward, next item on the agenda is remonstrance. Mr. Aho, I didn't see any blue cards.
No cards.
We'll skip over that. Agenda item I, without objection from my colleagues, I will read items I1 through 3. I1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following meeting minutes: regular meeting of July 18th, 2018, and August 1st, 2018, and the special meeting of July 12th, 2018 is sent to the board under separate cover. Item I2, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the following financial reports for the month of July 2018: bank reconciliation, general fund financial summary report, and financial report by fund as sent to the board under separate cover. And item I3, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the check registered for the month of July 2018. The total, including payroll, is $3,648,413.79. I have a motion to approve items I1 through 3 as read.
So moved.
Mr. Felber, do I have a second?
Second?
Mrs. DeFabio, second. Discussion? Mr. Aho, please call the roll.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes. Items I1 through 3 pass 5-0. Without objection from my colleagues, I'll read items J1 through 3. J1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified, pending satisfactory ORC background checks. J2, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified, pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And item J3, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified, pending satisfactory ORC background checks. I have a motion to accept items J1 through 3?
So moved.
Mr. Curtis, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Davis, second. Discussion on J1 through 3? Mr. Aho, please call the roll.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes. Items J1 through 3 passes 5-0. Without objection from my colleagues, I will read items K1 through 12. Item K1, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a proposal for the overnight extended student trip for the senior students in the contemporary issues of the 21st century course to travel to Cincinnati, Ohio to visit the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, and then to Ripley, Ohio to visit 2 homes that were an integral part of the Underground Railroad from October 10th, 2018 to October 11th, 2018. This trip will be paid in full by the participating students and chaperones as sent to the board under separate cover. Item K2, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a continuing contract for Jason Tate at the Bachelor's Plus 24, Step 20 rate, effective August 21st, 2018. K3, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the deletion from inventory of a 19-inch RCA TV at Twinsburg High School, asset tag number 32461, which is not cost effective to repair. K4, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following administrators as credentialed evaluators for the purpose of the Ohio Principal Education System and/or the Ohio Teacher Evaluation System. The names are listed in the agenda. K5, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves an agreement for 1 student to attend Educational Alternatives Cuyahoga Falls for the 2018-2019 school year at a cost of $24,206. This is a general fund expense as sent to the board under separate cover. K6, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves an agreement for 1 student to attend re-education in Bedford for the 2018-2019 school year at a total cost of $49,868, which translates to $274 a day for 182 days. This is a general fund expense as sent to the board under separate cover. K7, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a release of transportation for 2 students for the 2018-2019 school year from the Twinsburg City School District to the following school districts. Keston Local, 2 students. K8, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a release of transportation for 2 students for the 2018-2019 school year from the following school districts to the Twinsburg City School District. Nordonia, 1 student, and Solon, 1 student. K9, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following police officers and rates based on start time for security at events for the 2018-2019 school year and permits the superintendent to employ additional personnel as needed. The rates and officers for approval are listed on the agenda. K10, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the agreement with Ohio Schools Council, Lake Erie Educational Media Consortium in the amount of $1,020.25 effective July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019 for media center services. This is a general fund expense as sent to the board under separate cover. K11, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following list of books to be deleted from inventory upon the recommendation of the superintendent. The list is on the agenda. And item K12, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education continues Board of Education Policy 5113, Inter-District Open Enrollment without revision for the 2018-2019 school year. I have a motion to accept items K1 through 12 as read.
So moved.
Mr. Felber, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Curtis, second. Any discussion?
Items K1. That trip sounds like that's going to be a pretty interesting experience for the students. So I hope they get as much out of it as it sounds like. So.
Right, we run this trip every year, Mr. Curtis, as part of that class for the contemporary issues, and indeed, the students really enjoy going and come back with a lot more information about history. You have to live history to really understand it, so we appreciate the board's consideration for this overnight trip.
We'll have to give them homework because I believe there might be some Twinsburg homes that were on the Underground Railroad. It's supposedly my office. I've never been able to confirm because I haven't been down to the museum.
Okay.
So maybe we'll give them the address and see if they can confirm that. That would be kind of cool.
Also, just for, so K-5 and 6, those two programs are specific for students with special needs.
Correct.
Over and above what the district is able to provide.
Correct.
Mrs. Powers, maybe you can elaborate on 12, because it's just an
Sure.
existing policy that we're just
Right.
reaffirming.
So annually, Board of Education, as you know from my notes, the Ohio Department of Education requires me to certify that the Board of Education has actually reviewed Policy 5113, which is the district open enrollment policy. And now with your review and hopeful approval, I'm able to certify that indeed you have reviewed that policy and you wish it to remain without revision.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on K-1 through 12? Mr. Aho, please call the roll.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes. Without objection from my colleagues, I'll read items K-13 through 15. K-13, resolved that Twinsburg Board of Education approves a contract with Belinda McKinney for independent consulting services for special projects in the areas of academy support, suspension appeals, and personnel from September 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, at an hourly rate of $60 per hour, not to exceed 450 hours, as sent to the board under separate cover. This is a city-county expenditure. K-14, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the agreement with the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio for one student to attend the Passport School Program for the 2018-2019 school year at a total cost of $49,474.80, $274.86 a day for 180 days. This is a general fund expense as sent to the board under separate cover. K-15, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves an inter-district service area county service center of Cotton County for the 2018-2019 school year to provide a gifted coordinator, curriculum supervisor, 2 safety security liaisons, technical resource, 2 technical support specialists, network manager, and a special education consultant commencing July 1st, 2018 and concluding on June 30th, 2019, as sent to the board under separate cover. I have a motion to accept items K-13 through 15.
So moved.
Mrs. Davis, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Felber, second. Discussion?
Yes, I would just like to make a comment that all of these items are in association with the Educational Service Center of of Northeast Ohio, to which I am affiliated with, so I will be abstaining on this vote to avoid any appearance of impropriety or conflict of interest.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Any other discussion? Mr. Aho, please call the roll.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Abstain?
Mr. Solera?
Yes. Items K-13 through 15 passes 4-0 with 1 abstention. Moving on to agenda item L, miscellaneous. Anybody have anything for miscellaneous?
Yeah, I wanted to, Mr. Solera mentioned in his president's report about going around to the buildings and kind of checking things out, and you know, all of the technology, the maker spaces, so forth and so on. And I'm really impressed with the condition of the buildings and the technology. But I wanted to make sure that I gave a special acknowledgement to the custodial staff with all of the buildings. Unbelievable, immaculate, and considering, you know, how far we are into the school year, you would expect that there was evidence of students and traffic and so forth and so on, and complete opposite. It's just very clear how much work has gone into preparing for the school year, and that those ladies and gentlemen take a lot of pride in what they do. So I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge that. It's great to see all of the technology in the classrooms and preparation and all of that, but I'm always of the belief that you can't run a building without good custodial staff. So I want to make sure I acknowledge that.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to mention that I was able to attend the Academy kickoff and presentation open house. And just what a wonderful program. And it was really, really awesome to see the students who have been involved in it, the now sophomores who have been involved in it in their freshman year and coming into their sophomore year, and hearing about some of the things they've done, and even hearing about, some of the experiences outside of school that they're doing too, like with medical field and just science and all kinds of things that most kids my age, or when I was in 10th grade, wasn't even a thought. And whether or not your kids are part of the academy, it's an open invitation to attend the Twin Talks about once a month. And it's just a good experience for them to kind of hear about some different career opportunities out there, career paths, whether it's college or attending, going a different path outside of high school. And I will be trying to bring my own children to that. Hopefully their schedules will accommodate. And I just encourage parents out there whose kids, aren't even involved in the academy to just maybe show up at some of these Twin Talks and just get a feel of what is out there for their kids. It was a really incredible presentation.
And I'm not sure if we mentioned last time, but big shout out to the Wellness Committee. The Welcome Back Tiger Wellness event was a blast. The games were challenging but fun. The dance-offs for some of us that just kind of stood in the back, but trying to follow Mr. Sullen's moves. But great way to welcome back all the staff and prior to students' arrival, and get everybody up and moving, and to move 500 some people through a program like that was quite fun. So thank you for letting the board participate in that, apart from the lime green shirt that I drew. I'll be working on paving, in my part time.
Any other miscellaneous?
Just two things. Mr. Curtis, thanks to the CVCC for the very generous donation. We use that for a lot of support behind the scenes. The makerspace would be one area that we would be using those dollars to support some of the tech opportunities for our students. So on behalf of our students, we appreciate the generosity of the CVCC board. Also, Board of Education, in my notes to you, I've been telling you that the Twinsburg Schools Foundation is getting itself organized, and they will have their first presence on Friday night at the tailgate party. Mr. Mark Anakin is the chair of the Twinsburg Schools Foundation, and they will be present then and at homecoming. What they're trying to do actually is they're trying to organize the Twinsburg High School and RBC alumni. And so they're looking to build a database initially. So if you happen to be a graduate of the high school or RBC, please stop by the Twinsburg Schools Foundation table and get to know the members of the trustee board and chat with them a little bit about some of their goals that they have moving forward. We're excited because that ultimately means some great opportunities for our students and our staff members too. So thanks to Mr. Anakin and a very dedicated board of trustees that are really looking forward to getting off the ground here this fall.
Anything else? All right. With that, the board does have a need for an executive session tonight, so I would like to make a motion that the Board of Education enters into executive session at 8:01 to discuss employment, discipline, and compensation of public employees per Board of Education Policy 0166A. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Davis seconds. Any discussion? Mr. Aho, please call the roll.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio,
Yes.
Mr. Felber.
Yes.
Board is in executive session. Thank you.